GereNetwork.com. This is a GERE Network production.
You're listening to Better Live Than Dead.
I believe it's a big challenge for all building to keep things in perspective and to, if we're going to get addicted to anything, let's get addicted to the process.
We welcome you to episode 34 of Trust the Podcast, powered by Better Live Than Dead and the GERE Radio Network. Week 12, Buffalo Bills versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. What a game it was. There was a whole lot to talk about, and hey, we've got a special guest to talk about it with us today. First off, you can hear the podcast on BetterLiveThanDead.com, iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, you can hear this podcast. I am Ryan Wolfe at WolfeBLTD, joined on the IndyCar Media Hotline by Mr. GERE Network himself, John Cimino at the JC Money. How you doing today, John?
Hooray. I am doing very well, Ryan, my boy. And one of the things I was especially looking forward to this particular podcast, and the fact that it is a Victory Tuesday is one thing, but the fact that it's a Victory Tuesday at the expense of that toolbox Jalen Ramsey and the Jacksonville Jaguars makes it even better.
I'll tell you what, I don't mind Jalen Ramsey, just before we get into the Buffalo Bills talk here. I don't mind Jalen Ramsey at all. My thing is just that, it's the old adage, your mouth is right and checks your ass can't cash. And the only play on Sunday where Jalen Ramsey recorded an interception, he had to forcefully shove the wide receiver out of bounds, which then therefore made him ineligible downfield, but they called, the penalty back, and the ball was given back to the Bills. But when he's good, he's fun. But when he's bad, boy, his trash talk looks ugly.
Yeah, his trash. You know what it is? He lost me. It wasn't so much with him calling Josh Allen trash that lost me, but it was when he said the comment that he made about the NHL earlier in the preseason, where he said that he could train and be on an NHL team and effective in 6 months. And anybody who knows hockey and watches hockey is looking at him like, what the hell are you talking about? Have you even skated one day in your life? Like, shut up, you tool. And it's just like he was just going on so many different rants and rambles that it's like, all right, buddy, I get what you're trying to do, but you're Jalen Ramsey. You're not Darrelle Revis in his prime. You're not freaking Deion Sanders. You're not, any of those other names that are going to, that are either in or going to the Hall of Fame. You're Jalen Ramsey. You play on the Jaguars. The Jaguars is a team that last year they fluked their way to the AFC Championship, in my opinion. I mean, their defense was good, but they have Blake Bortles leading the way, and he is good and terrible, mostly terrible. You play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They haven't been relevant since when? So shut up, Jalen Ramsey.
It's been a while, yeah. I mean, like I said, I enjoy his trash talking when he's good, but when he's bad, boy, is it suck. And is it hard to watch, because he'll just keep talking and talking and talking, doesn't know when to say, you know what, I got beat. Although after the game on Sunday, we did see the first guy he walked up to post final kneel down was Josh Allen, which actually is a good transition into our three big things of the week. The Buffalo Bills get past the Jacksonville Jaguars, get their revenge from last year's wildcard loss, a 24-21 brawl-filled game. Josh Allen returns to the starting lineup for the first time in quite a while. 8 for 19 for 160 yards and 1 touchdown. The more impressive stats on the ground were 13 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown. The one thing, though, John, that I'm a little worried about, and it's a good friend of the podcast at Buffalo Wins on Twitter points out, on the first 3 drives, Allen was 4 for 5 for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. The rest of the game, he was 4 for 13 for 35 yards. I mean, that kind of feels like we're splitting hairs a little, but I did want to point it out because it did seem a little lopsided there. But again, Josh Allen, I guess you could say he statistically struggled, but the Bills get a win. Is it something to worry about, or do you think this is just another small step in the long game that is developing Josh Allen into a franchise?
Not in the least. I don't think it's anything to worry about. And again, it goes back to Bills fans reaching. Like, I get it. The Mafia has had prior to last season. I mean, they were an Andy Dalton pass away from having the streak extended to 18 seasons. I mean, beggars can't be choosers. Right now, you got the Bills the Bills got a good pick with Josh Allen. You're going to get this in year one. So to answer your question, as far as his development and his statistical struggles, again, we go back to the aforementioned offensive line, and they've sort of kind of picked up their game a little bit, but they're still not a good offensive line. Against a top tier defense, they're going to get hammered every single time. The fact that Josh Allen was able to do what he did for at least a little portion of it only tells me that Jacksonville made adjustments, and Allen is too young to recognize that they made adjustments to make enough adjustments himself and kind of keep the game in control. That's all that tells me. But when 4 for 5 for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first portion of the game, but 13 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown. I mean, with one of those touchdowns, 2 touchdowns being a carry for a touchdown, 99 yards, really should have had 101 when you think about it, because he took 2 knees and that took away a yard or whatever, but 101 yards essentially on the ground, 160 yards through the air. That's not bad. That to me is not struggling, especially for somebody that's a rookie in the league coming off of an injury, having been off 2 or 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't started every single game this year anyways. The team around him is terrible for all intents and purposes, and he is doing enough to keep them afloat. So I think Allen should get more praise than maybe he's getting. And I think Bills fans, mind you, again, I have a rookie quarterback that's been injured for a while, and Jets fans are already talking about, is he regressing? Is he regressing? It's like, shut up. Seriously. Come on. It's year one. They're going to get it. They're going to take a hit. They're going to struggle. They're going to show signs of greatness. They're going to show signs of inexperience. If this was Josh Allen 2 years or 3 years into the system with a better offensive line around him and some weapons, after the cap space that they're going to have this offseason, and they build around him and he still puts up numbers like this with known weapons and known top 10 offensive line, then that might be something that might be concerning. But at this point, it's a reach to start being crazy concerned about his progression and everything. He's not EJ Manuel. You guys had EJ Manuel. You saw how that worked out. He's better than EJ Manuel.
I think the one thing to point out that I heard on WGR 550 is actually a great point. Is that he put up Tyrod Taylor numbers, but he's not in his 7th or 8th season. This is a guy in his rookie year trying to find ways to win, trying to learn the game as he progresses, as he goes. So you're getting these numbers from Josh Allen. Now, granted, if you're 2, 3, 4 years down the road, if he's still throwing for 8 for 19 for 116 a touchdown, maybe you start to worry a little, or even before then, maybe you start to worry. But at this point, I mean, the numbers. The numbers should be higher. There were a lot of penalties. We'll talk about that in just a minute. There were a lot of penalties that took back some very nice throws by Josh Allen that certainly hurt his statistics. But also, I mean, again, he's still a rookie. Hasn't played a ton in the National Football League. And honestly, I mean, did he carry the ball too much? I certainly think so. Mm-hmm. But then again, when you don't know the read, when you can't make the read properly and say, look, that guy's going to come open, or I can, whatever it may be, and you take it and run with it, you're still making a decision to run the ball, and he was effective. It wasn't like he ran the ball 20 times for 15 yards or something. He was effective in what he did. He did enough to get the Bills the victory, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Now,
I will say 13 carries for a quarterback, that is a lot of carries, and I would like to see that number go down. And I think it will over time. This guy, but Allen, he reminds me of a very young Ben Roethlisberger. He's got a hell of an arm. Hopefully, none of the off-field issues, that marred Roethlisberger in the beginning of his career. But Roethlisberger would and does now make plays with his legs if he has to. Allen's in his first year. He's going to do that. He's trying to really establish himself as the guy, and worthy of his pick. So I get why he's doing stuff like that. But over time, I think you're going to see more and more out of the passing and less out of the running unless he absolutely needs to. And when that happens, and if he can truly master his footwork, which was a downside for him, one of the things that teams were kind of like iffy about when it came to drafting him, if he can master his footwork and up his accuracy a little more, dude's going to be dangerous. He's got a hell of a cannon. He's got a cannon for an arm. And to compare what he's doing now, 11 or 12 games into the season now, into his first season, having played 6 or 7 of those games, to compare his numbers to Tyrod Taylor, who is the guy that helped with his quarterback play, whether it was popular or not, helped end the drought. That's not bad. It's kind of like having a girlfriend. You either want to stay at that level or go above the level for the next girlfriend. You don't want to go below the level. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go from an 8 to a 4. You want to either go from an 8 to another 8 or an 8 to a 10.
It just got real there for a second.
There
John.
you go. Right. Well, I was kind of married to a 4 for a bit, but whatever.
Yikes. Anyways, that being said, the stats of the game.
I don't give a shit. I'm sorry.
Second of the 3.
Wrong podcast.
You're okay. The second of the 3 big things this week. Jordan Poyer, Matt Milano both had a pick. Kyle Williams had a game. 1.5 sacks. Tackle for a loss. Robert Foster recorded 2 catches for 94 yards in his first NFL touchdown. He continues to look fantastic. 23 combined penalties, 13 for Buffalo alone. Yikes across the board. And 1 big ol' ejection that probably helped Buffalo win that nasty fight in the end zone, which, John, I don't know what was funnier. The fact that there was a gigantic fight that led to Leonard Fournette being kicked out of the game. Granted, before the half, he was crushing. After the half, the Bills kind of figured him out a little. But he's still an incredible running back. I don't know what was funnier, him getting kicked out of the game or the fact that the 2 guys with the contested catch were still laying there on top of each other, holding the ball, didn't move through the entire fight.
Nice. No, I did not. I must have missed that part because I was too busy. When things like that happen, I tend to go to Twitter and look for the trolls or troll myself. And so that might have been what I was doing, but no, I did not notice that the 2 contending receivers and were still laying there. That's pretty funny to me.
Yeah, that's I wouldn't
want to piss off Leonard Fournette though. I'm not gonna lie. That dude's scary.
Dude he squared right up, and he was not waiting around for anybody. That's for sure.
Nope.
That was
Definitely not.
I mean, Shaq Lawson's been great this year, but trading off Shaq Lawson for Leonard Fournette, not a bad trade off of the Buffalo Bills.
Right.
It was a weird game, and that was just another footnote in a weird game for the Buffalo Bills. But hey, a win's a win. I want to talk about LaShawn McCoy quick too. Our third of the 3 big things this week is quest for 11,000 yards. Another quiet day for LaShawn McCoy, 17 carries, 46 yards. He was 26th all-time with 10,518 yards. He sits 73 yards behind Thomas Jones in 25th place, who has 10,591 yards. Slowly churning along here. It doesn't look like, unless he's going to have some big games, that McCoy will reach 11,000 yards this season, but we shall see what happens in the final few games. Also, real quick, quest for the highest pick if the season were to end today, which obviously it will not. The Buffalo Bills would pick 9th overall. And, John, let me tell you why this is a good thing.
Why
the Buffalo Bills have defensive talent. They certainly could go out and would be helped out with another great defensive prospect. The Buffalo Bills need to go offensive in this draft early on, whether it's an offensive tackle, an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, something along those lines to really either help out Josh Allen in protecting him or helping him out in getting another dynamic weapon. Those guys aren't going very high in the first round. They're going mid to late in the first round. So Buffalo won't have to trade back. Buffalo won't have to maneuver their way around to get the guy they want. They'll be in the prime spot because they're not only are they seeing good stuff from their defense from Josh Allen, but they're also still kind of bad. So they're bad enough where they'll be picking 9th overall at this point in time. If my explanation is not making sense, I'm sorry. But essentially, like I said, the Bills need a wide receiver, need somebody on the offensive line. That's the prime spot for them. Maybe a little later, but they're going to be able to get someone really good with that pick. And won't feel obligated.
Absolutely.
And won't feel obligated to draft defense.
Right. They won't feel obligated because, again, they're going to have in excess of $100 million in cap space where they can, and the Bills, much like my beloved Jets, are going to be one of those teams that have to, unfortunately, overpay people to come here. And then, but of course, once they get here, they love it. Because, the fans are what really truly makes the team, and the experience is what makes the team. But they're in a very, very good position. I think Bills fans should be happy with the team regardless. The fact that they've picked up, 4 wins now? If memory serves me correctly, they're 4 wins now, the Bills are?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so the fact that they picked up the 4 wins when most people were projecting them to go 0-16, 1-15, 3-13, I mean, that's good. 4 wins in Cleveland, on the other hand, they're throwing a parade right now over there in Cleveland. But in Buffalo, you know what? It's not a bad thing because they're showing signs of greatness with a rookie quarterback and a team around them that isn't really good. Comparatively speaking, Kelvin Benjamin sucks. You go and now you take that, you go into the free agency, you've got a high pick, you've got cap space, the process will be doing its thing. Now we're in year 3 of the McDermott era next year. That's going to be the big test for not only Sean McDermott, but for everybody else in the Bills organization, because I guarantee you they're going to be players. From everything that I've been reading, they're going to be players. They are going to be making moves. They are going to be spending. They are going to be overpaying and possibly outbidding the Jets or whatever, because they're in the exact same boat, quite literally. And it's going to be a very, very fun offseason for Bills fans. And I think that will translate into the next season. This season, while in the hunt, yeah, you don't really want to be. You kind of want to hover in that top 10 spot. I think that would be a great thing for the Bills.
I'm looking forward to draft season. It's never exciting when your team's out of the playoffs, but looking forward to seeing the Buffalo Bills going out, potentially drafting a number 1 wide receiver, or, someone who can protect Josh Allen's blind side, which is something we'll talk about here more as the season progresses with the games getting more and more meaningless.
Right.
As you did mention, the Buffalo Bills are technically in the hunt, but they need a lot to go right. It did happen last year, but I don't suspect it'll happen this year. I want to look ahead real quick here now, brought to you by our friends over at 26 Shirts. We had Dell on the podcast last week. It was real good to have Dell back. Real good to hear from him.
Hi, Dell.
Real good to hear him talking Bills and talking 26 Shirts. That's my favorite thing when it comes to talking to Dell, because you can hear it in his voice, not only the love for the Bills, but the love for what he does. And 26 Shirts, another great shirt this week. Buffalo Volume 6 shirt 2. It's called Bison Hockey. It's an incredible design. I'm going to be getting one here hopefully before, let's see, it's available till the 2nd, so it's available until Friday, so I better get on it and buy it tomorrow to get this, to make sure I order it in time. But the latest shirt beneficiary, Thomas Ackley Jr., who was first diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma at age 5 in 2013. His cancer went into remission after some time at Roswell Park. Unfortunately, the terminal cancer has returned, and 26 Shirts is doing their part to help out Thomas and his family in an attempt to make Thomas's final days, final months, final years as comfortable and as fantastic as it possibly can be. So again, if you've got the money.
I hate hearing stories. I'm such a huge, on a personal level, I'm such a huge advocate for cancer research. And all of that. Like, I always get misty eyed whenever I hear of things like this, and, the V Foundation and all that stuff. Yeah, everybody's been touched by that in one way, shape, or form. And I don't know Dell, and I'm not speaking, on about 26 Shirts here because they sponsor the network as a whole, because they don't. But this is one of my favorite things about the podcast itself, and just about business in general. Like, not too many businesses continuously do things like this, and 26 Shirts does it all the time, and does it without saying, yeah, we're a good company because we do this, so that's why you should buy from us. They're like, no, they just seem very genuine, and just I gotta be honest, I'm a little I'm a little taken aback because I did not read this portion of the preview before the podcast. I probably should have, but go buy a shirt. Go buy a shirt.
Absolutely. I know it's the holiday season. Time, money might be tight, but if you can get a shirt, it's a great design, and again, you're always helping a great cause. Now,
yes, absolutely. Good on you. Good on you, Dell. Good on you, 26 shirts.
Absolutely. Always. Good on Dell and the 26 shirts crew. They're fantastic people. Week 13, the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 5-6, the 9th seed in the AFC. They have a 28th ranked offense, a 29th ranked defense. So that's great. And Frank Gore is leading the Dolphins rushing with 4.5 yards per attempt, 595 yards on 131 attempts. It feels like Frank Gore just will never, ever, 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 ever go away. He actually ranks.
He's the running back version of Jerry Rice, man.
He ranks fourth all time right now with 14,621 rushing yards. I mean, he's
like 40. Not
he's
really,
a surefire Hall of Fame. He's 35, actually, as of podcast time on Tuesday, the 27th of November. He's 35 and 197 days old. Apparently.
Yeah.
They tell me that's really old, but he's on pace for probably, I want to say, let me check. Let me get back to you on this one really quick. I'm going to go look it up to see how many yards he's on pace for. Last season, he was 39 yards, 29? No. 39 yards. I can't do math. He was 39 yards shy of 1,000 yards for his second straight year. This year, like I said, he's at 595 right now. I probably should have done this before.
Well, I'll tell you what, while you look for that, would you mind me doing a small little promotional thing for GERE Network while you do that? So that way we're not listening to you go, oh, crap.
I was just going to fill it with dead air, man. I was going to fill it with dead air.
To hell with filling it with dead air. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the holiday season, and I know we've already mentioned a few of our friends on here, 26 shirts being one of them. But ladies and gentlemen, if you are, in fact, going to be doing any holiday shopping through Amazon, we would appreciate it very, very much if you use our link, our specific short link, if you need to. It's shopGERE, shopGERE.com, and it will take you redirect you right to Amazon, right to your account. You go in and you just shop and you do whatever you want. If you use our links on either shopGERE.com, the link that's on the BLTD website itself, or GearNetwork.com/Amazon, and click on any of the banners, if you use that to get to Amazon kicks us back a small commission of your purchases, and that goes a long way to helping us. So does it charge you anything extra? Absolutely not. Does it help us out? Tremendously. So if you can remember, we would certainly appreciate, of course, every dollar spent on Amazon using one of our links does go a long way. And I know Amazon is not a small business per se, but GERE Network and Better Live Than Dead are. So using our link to help to shop there helps us out greatly. So we would very, very much appreciate it. You have all been very, very kind throughout the year and in the past holiday seasons. And, that is the gasoline in the engine of GERE Network and our airwaves. So big help for us if you would please consider using that when you shop. All right, Ryan, do you have the stats yet?
We always appreciate that. Absolutely. Projected this season, 865 rushing yards for Frank Gore. Not bad for a 35-year-old running back in his 14th season.
Not at all. Not at all. And I mean, he's kind of an emergency play on one of my fantasy teams right now. Because I could have clinched by beating whom most people know that follow wrestling as Harper of the Bludgeon Brothers. I could have beaten him this week had I had better play from my running back. I only had Phillip Lindsay and I had Jordan Howard or something like that from Chicago, and they, Lindsay got me good points, but Howard, I'm dumping him, and he's on waivers right now to get Gore. So I'm on the Frank Gore train for that. But that said, I know they're playing Buffalo, and this is a Bills podcast. And quite frankly, I don't like the Dolphins. So I hope Frank Gore rushes for 337 yards in his old ass and gets all the touchdowns. And then I hope the Bills counter every single one of those touchdowns and then add a field goal to it to win. So that would be what I would hope for.
That's pretty fair. Hey, speaking of that, what would be your prediction for Sunday's game, Bills and Dolphins?
Bills and Dolphins. The reality of the situation is, it's going to depend on. Well, I want to go back and say the offensive line, but I mean, the Bills they've beaten the Vikings. They beat the Vikings pretty handily. They held their own against Jacksonville and Miami. You try and tell Dolphins fans that they're not, that they're not what they think they are. The team is not what they believe that they are. Like they believe they're like I said a few weeks ago, they are the AFC's version of Cowboys fans, where every year is their year and whatever. And they had the one undefeated season and, yeah, we're good. Mercury Morris every year when there's an undefeated thing and yay, remember us, we're Miami and shut up Miami. I don't care. I honestly think, the Bills could easily, I don't want to say easily, thwart them or anything, but I think they could go in there and realistically get a win, and that's what I'm calling for it. I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills defeat the Miami Dolphins 24-21.
I'll say the Bills are going to win 21-20. I think the defense will play good enough. Josh Allen should show up and have a decent game. Maybe LaShawn McCoy pops his head out and makes an appearance or whatever, but let's go for another Buffalo Bills win.
You know what? I'm calling my shot right now. Latino Damas, as most people in my inner circle know me as, because I can call the shots, didn't I, Eric? But I called the shot. I'm telling you right now, Victory Tuesday next week. Bills beating the Dolphins.
Hey, I am cool with that, my man. With that being said, this is Trust the Podcast. Like I said, you can hear us betterlivethandead.com, iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. Anywhere podcasts can be heard, you can hear this podcast. For John at the JC Money, I am Ryan Wolfe at WolfeBLTD on Twitter.
Whoa, wait a minute. I didn't do it this week. Shut up, Ryan.
Your last words.
Shut up, Ryan. I had to get it in. Sorry.
Damn it. With that being said, for John, I am Ryan. We are Trust the Podcast.
You are not.
Thanks again for tuning in. That's right. We are Trust the Podcast. You are not. Way to steal our own gimmicks.
Woohoo!
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you soon.
Ciao, y'all.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the GERE Network.